everyone. This is River Navarro. I'm the Director of Clinical Services at Bakersfield Behavioral Healthcare Hospital. I'd like to wish everyone a happy Wellness Wednesday. Happy Wellness Wednesday to all. I'd also like to say hello to all of our Facebook family and friends. It's good to be here this week. Today, I'd like to talk about empathy. And I chose this topic for a variety of reasons, not just because it's so important to what I do clinically or important to what we do here at BBHH, but I really wanted to kind of talk about it in a different perspective. So I'll kind of get into that in a minute, but I kind of want to give you a really simple definition that I found online that I really like, and so I want to start out by sharing that with you first. I found this from Psychology Today. It's on their website, and there are several articles and things like that about empathy if you'd like to check that out later in your own time. So the definition of empathy is, it is the ability to recognize, understand, and share the thoughts and feelings of another person, animal, or fictional character. So I really loved this one because how many of us, read books, watch movies? I mean, I think I've cried at commercials. I'm that person. So if you have the ability to connect in some way, whether it's with the person or not, then you're in the game. So a lot of people, when they talk about empathy, they might say things like, put yourself in someone else's shoes, or being able to walk in another person's shoes, or something like that. But that's kind of an easy peasy way of saying it. But I think it just really involves being able to understand the thoughts and feelings of another being or character in some way, shape, or form. So that's why it's so important. So kind of backing it up and going back to what I mentioned earlier, I chose to talk about empathy today because I just don't see enough of it in the world. And I don't know if any of you feel that way. I'm only speaking for myself at the moment. And there's just not a lot of connection. And it has nothing to do with social distancing. It has nothing to do with COVID. Just a lot of people don't really listen to each other, and they don't really take the time to understand the experiences of other people, maybe people that are different from them, or maybe people that fit into different groups or have other identities, or maybe just have a different thought or belief than them. So a lot of people tend to kind of stick to people like themselves, or similar thoughts, similar beliefs, and that kind of thing. And sometimes that's okay. But it's also very important to put yourself in another person's shoes and understand why someone thinks or feels the way they do. And you might be surprised. You might learn something. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about empathy and what I think it involves. Compassion, for sure. If you have empathy for others, you will naturally be a more compassionate individual. It involves a lot of listening. So specifically, and within my department in clinical services, we definitely sometimes have to stop, be mindful, and really listen to what our patients are trying to tell us, right? Because then we'll know how to help them while they're here. If you have empathy, you might be very curious about others, which I think is a good thing. And you're willing to consider another person's point of view, even if it's different from yours, because you're curious, right? So you're at least willing to explore or to try to understand, and that's always a good thing. The thing that really stands out to me the most about empathy is that it's the key to connecting with other people. So whether that's with your family, your friends, coworkers, whoever that may be, there has to be some aspect of empathy between you and that other person to be able to understand each other, to be able to resolve differences, to be able to come to some type of agreement or understanding about some issue or something. Another thing that really stands out to me about empathy is that it helps us make better decisions. So when we empathize with other people, we kind of get out of just thinking about ourselves all the time and, what we think or what we feel or what we want. And then the focus is more on what's in the best interest of everyone. So I think that that's really important. And if you have empathy, you will naturally behave in a more compassionate way towards others. So that's kind of a big deal. For some of you who maybe don't talk about this kind of thing very much or want to know more about it, or you're asking yourselves, well, how can I be a more empathetic person? There's a couple things I want you to think about. So, in other words, how do I as a person develop more empathy, right? I think you have to just commit to it. You have to make a choice to want to be that type of person, right? So it's something that you would want to prioritize. You would want to maybe set it as some type of goal, something that you want to work on or you want to work towards, like, I really want to connect more with others. I want to express more empathy and compassion. So really educating yourself about it, what it is versus what it isn't, how to develop that with others. So really just committing to it and sticking to it, right? The second thing, spend time with other people that are different from yourself. Now, having said that, I know that might be difficult because, I'm always talking about social distancing and COVID and the pandemic and all that, but, you can do this virtually. You can do this in different ways as well. So, or exchange ideas with someone who has a different thought process than yourself, right? So I don't know about you, but I encounter these situations all the time with people. They express a thought or a feeling or something that maybe I'm just not relating to at that moment. So from my perspective, I might say, well, what do you mean by that? Or can you tell me about that? Because I would like to understand. Or I'm having trouble understanding where you're coming from. Can you, tell me in a different way because I want to get on the same page with you or something like that. So I have a lot of conversations with people where sometimes we might be speaking a different language almost, right? And so there's a lot of exchange of ideas and, okay, well, where are you coming from? And why is this important to you so I can understand? And then we can come to some type of, middle ground where we're both expressing empathy for each other and whatever's going on with both of us. So this last tip I think is really interesting. So try reading a novel or a story, watch a movie or something like that. It could be a show, whatever it is, and see if you can identify with the characters in that book, in that movie, in that story. So I think for some of us that maybe it might be challenging to try practicing with people at first. Maybe see if you can relate to a character or even an animal or other life form or something like that and have some type of compassion or appreciation for it. You might surprise yourself that once you have that capacity, then it's very easy to start branching out and then developing that with other people. So that's all I got for today. I hope that you enjoyed my little chat about empathy, and I really want to encourage you to try some of the tips that I mentioned. Really think about what it is, why it's important, and how you can start developing that or practicing it more often with other people. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.